Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Uttama Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad.
Dandavat Pranams, Prabhu. If you could just turn on your video.
Yeah, just give me a minute. Yes.
Sure, Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Prabhu, I'll just give you the sharing, right?
Sorry?
Can you just give you the sharing, I mean, for the this one?
Yeah,
right?
I will need the sharing for
sure.
the sloka sharing.
I'll give that. Give me a minute, Prabhu.
Sure.
Hare Krishna devotees, welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya on a Saturday morning. We have today the privilege of having His Grace Uttama Damodhar Prabhu. He'll be sharing the nectar from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5, which is Lord Rishabhdeva's teachings to his son. We'll be continuing with verse number 2 today. Prabhu, over to you. Nanda Pranams.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Munatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Bhaja Janarandana Yashoda Nandana Bhaja Janarandana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Radha Madhava Radha Jayo Radha Rash Bihari Radha Rash Bihari Radhe Jaya Radha Vinoda Radha Vinoda Radhe Jayo Jagannatha Jayo Baladeva Jai Subhadra Jaya Sudarshana Jaya Lakshmi Narsimha Jayo Ananta Dev Prahlad Narsimha Jayo Ananta Dev Jaya Bhaktanika Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jai Prabhupada Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल हरिनाम संकीर्तन महायज्ञ की जय जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्रजाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतक His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya, BBD founder Acharya, Savior of the whole universe, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajapacharya Stotra Shara. His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shat Goswami Prabhugan ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण चंद्र गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय मायापुर नदी धाम की जय श्री क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना माई की जय कावेरी माई की जय भक्ति देवी की जय तुलसी महारानी की जय समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories and glories and glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam today. We're continuing our conversation from the Canto 5 and 5th chapter. Let me just share my screen with you for us to at the shloka. महत्सेवं द्वारम् अहुर्विमुक्तसे तमोद्वारं योषितं सङ्गिसङ्गम् महन्तस्ते समाचित्तप्रसन्ता विमानया विमाय विमानया सुहृद्र साधवो ये महत्स्वेवं द्वारम् अहुर्विमुक्तसे तमोद्वारं योषितं साङ्गिसाङ्गम् महन्तस्ते समाचित्तं प्रशन्ता विमानवा सुहृद्र सहाद्वयो ये Mahatsvevam dvaramahur vimuktase tamodvaram yoshitam sangi sangam mahantaste samachitta prasanta vimanaya suhudra sadhavoye. Word-to-word translation. Mahat Sevam, service to the spiritually advanced person called Mahatmas. Dwaram, the way. Ahu, they say. Vimukate, of liberation. Tamadvaram, the way to dungeon of a dark, hellish condition of life. Yoshitam, of women. Sangi, of associates. Sangam, association. Mahanta, highly advanced in spiritual understanding. They. Samachita, persons who see everyone in spiritual identity. Prasanta, very peaceful, situated in Brahman or Bhagwan. Vimanayava, without anger. One must distribute Krishna consciousness to persons who are hostile without becoming angry at them. Sudra, Suhudra, Suhurda, well-wishers of everyone. Sadhava, qualified devotees without abominable behavior. Ye, they, who. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. One can attain the path of liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personalities. These personalities are impersonalists and devotees. Whether one want to merge into the Lord's existence or want to associate with the personality of Godhead, one should render service to the Mahatmas. For those who are not interested in such activities, who associate with people fond of women and sex, the path of hell is wide open. The Mahatmas are equipoised. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another one. They are very peaceful and are fully engaged in devotional service. They are devoid of anger and they work for benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. The human body is like a junction. One may either take the path of liberation or the path leading to hellish condition. How one can take this path is described herein. On the path of liberation, one associates with Mahatmas, and on the path of bondage, one associates with those attached to sense gratification and women. There are two types of Mahatmas, the impersonalists and the devotees. Although their ultimate goal is different, the process of emancipation is also the same. Both want eternal happiness. One seeks happiness in impersonal Brahman, and the other seeks happiness in the association of Supreme Personality of Godhead. As described in the first verse, Brahma Swakyam. Brahman means spiritual or eternal. Both the impersonalists and the devotees seek eternal blissful life. In any case, it is advised that one become perfect. In the words of Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 22.87, Asat Sanga Tyaga E Vaishnava Achar Stri Sangi Eka Sadhu Krishna Bhakta Ara. To remain unattached to the modes of material nature, one should avoid associating with those who are asat, materialistic. There are two kinds of materialists. One is attached to women and sense gratification, and the other is simply a non-devotee. On the positive side is association with Mahatmas, and on the negative side is the avoidance of non-devotees and women hunters. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to second shloka of the fifth chapter titled Rishabdev's teachings to his sons of Canto 5. Om Tat Sat Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. So a very nice and important verse for all of us. We just in the starting of the 5th chapter of the 5th canto, and here it is very nicely described. And in this chapter, there's a description of Bhagavata Dharma. I'll just give you a prelude to the chapter, and then we move into the discussion on the particular shloka that we've taken today. Yeah, so in this chapter, there's a description of Bhagavad Dharma, that is the religious principles which are in the devotional service and that transcend the religious principles for liberation. Not only for the principles of liberation, but it also is the mitigation of the material miseries. And it is also said in this chapter that human beings should not work hard like dogs and hogs for sense gratification. The human life is specially meant for revival of our relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And to end all this kind of austerities and penance should be accepted. We have to end this chakra of Janma Mrityu Jaravadi, and for that we need to take some austerities. And by austere activities, one's heart can be cleansed of material contamination, because if you don't clean your heart, your material contamination will not go. It's like a mirror which has a lot of dust on top of it. You can't see yourself very clearly in the mirror. So you take a cloth and clean the mirror, and then you are able to see your pratibimba, your reflection very correctly, very nicely. So we have to get cleansed of this material contamination. And once we get cleansed of this material contamination, then we will be situated on the spiritual platform. And to attain this perfection, one has to take shelter of a devotee and serve him. Then the door of liberation will open. And those who are materially attached to women and sense gratification gradually become entangled in the material consciousness, and they suffer the miseries of birth, old age, disease, and death. That cycle continues for them because they are attached. They want to be continuing here. And those who are engaged in general welfare, that is also to be looked at, and who are not attached to children and family are called the Mahatmas. Yeah, they are actually looking at general welfare. When we talk about general welfare, it is not building hospitals and building temples and building chowdhuries for people to come and stay. No, that's not what we look at general welfare. General welfare is the welfare of people at large, and that is connecting people to Krishna. And these are called Mahatmas, those who are engaged those who are engaged in sense gratification and who act piously or impiously cannot understand the purpose of the soul. Okay, so those who are engaged in only thinking of I, me, myself, my body, my beauty, they cannot understand the purpose of the soul. So we should try to approach a highly elevated devotee and accept him as the spiritual master. By his association, one will be able to understand the purpose of life. And under the instructions of such a bona fide spiritual master, one can attain devotional service of the Lord. One is on one side, he or she will attain the devotional service of the Lord. On the other side, he or she will have detachment from material things. And they will also start tolerating the material miseries and distresses that we go through because they are a part of our material existence. And we can see all these entities are very equipoised. They become very eager to know about transcendental subject matters, knowing about the pastimes of the Lord, talking about the pastimes of the Lord, again associating with devotees who are there, who are like-minded people, and they endeavor persistently, continuously, without any retraction, to the satisfaction of Krishna. And as we see, one becomes detached from wife or husband, children, home, and they're not interested in wasting their time. In this way, one takes up to spiritual consciousness or becomes a self-realized person. A person who's self-realized or who's advanced in the spiritual knowledge does not engage anymore in the material activities. And one who cannot deliver another person by instructing him in devotional service should never become a spiritual master, father, mother, demigod, or a husband. This is very nicely said in this continuation of this chapter itself on the 18th verse. It says, Gururna Sastya Svajanona Se, sorry, Gururna Sat, Gururna Sagyat, Svajano na syat, pita na sasyat, janani na sasyat, daivam na tat na patischata sayan, namochayat yat sampitayam mrityam. The translation of this says very clearly, one who cannot deliver his dependence from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, a mother, or a worshipable demigod. Gururna Sasya, Swajanona Sasya. Yeah. You cannot become a guru unless and until you are able to deliver your disciples whom you accept. Or you should not become a father if you are not able to, deliver your children. So further in this, in the conversation, this is the instructions given by Lord Rishabhadev to his 100 sons. He had 100 sons, 100 sons. And he also advised all his children that you please accept your elder brother Bharat as the guide and the Lord, and thereby serve him. And again, it is said that among all the living entities, Brahmanas are the best. And above the Brahmanas are the Vaishnavas. They are even in a better position. And serving a Vaishnava means serving the Supreme Personality of God. There's absolutely no difference when we serve a Vaishnava and serve Krishna. They're all the same. And hence, Sukadev Goswami describes the characteristics of Bharat Maharaj and the sacrifices performed and executed by Rishabdev for the instruction of general populace in this chapter. So the main point of this verse that we've taken, the 5th verse, is to render service to Mahatmas. And if we don't render service to Mahatmas, then we will get attached to sex life and women. The nature of this soul is to get attached. And when the nature says you have to be attached, then why not get attached to a better thing? And the better thing is among the others to get attached to Mahatmas. Here in the shloka, in the lines that you see, it says, Mahat Sevam Dwaram. It means that serving Vaishnava opens the doors to liberation. Yeah. Our nature is to serve. And the tendency is to serve. It is either to liberate or to be bound by us. So, either the serving that we do, if we get attached to material things, then it will bind us here or it will condemn us. And if we serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, if we serve the Vaishnavas, if we serve the Mahatmas, then we will be liberated. In the Western world, they have this tendency of serving. Not in the Western world. Serving tendency is there across the world. But because of this serving tendency that we see in the Western world, because they don't have anybody to serve, because their children leave them at a very early age, you see a lot of divorce which is happening. Husband and wife don't stay together. It is only meant to be staying together only for enjoyment, and after the enjoyment is over, they get separated. So what do? Because they have this serving tendency, they get into some cats and dogs and, take care of them and serve them. So a person who actually remains in Krishna consciousness 24 hours a day is the person who's called a Mahatma. And we have to serve the Mahatma to become a Mahatma. How do you become a Mahatma? Yeah, you can become Mahatma. Mahatma is a person who remains in Krishna consciousness 24 hours a day. And to become one, you have to serve another one. You serve a Mahatma to become a Mahatma. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, 14th verse, it says, Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantatascha dridavrita. It says, always chanting my glories. That is a Mahatma. A person who always keeps me in his mind and his words and his acts is a Mahatma. It says, always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, this great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. He is a Mahatma. In Bhagavad Gita 8.16 also it says, the Lord clearly says that Mam upatyatu kaunteya punarjanmana vidyate. Mam upatyatu. Clearly, if you serve me, O son of Arjun, O son of Kaunteya, son of Kunti, Kaunteya, then you don't have another life. One who's purified in his material contamination returns back home, back to Godhead, does not return to this material world. So Krishna repeatedly confirms this to us, saying that we should always serve him. And again, as we go forward, there are two types of Mahatmas. Who are the two types of Mahatmas? One is the impersonalist. He gives up all his attachment, but he still has the desire to become one with God. He wants to become God. No, he doesn't like anything else, but he still has that one small little desire that he wants to become God. And the other one is a devotee who's automatically detached from the sense gratification. He is devoted to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the second one, that is a devotee, is any day better. There are 26 qualities of a devotee. He is peaceful, he is quiet, he eats only as much as his body is requiring. He does not accumulate too much of money. He is poetic. All these qualities are there. So a devotee is one who becomes a Mahatma. And if we associate with Mahatmas, we can also become Mahatmas. We can also become devotees. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said that you should avoid association of materialistic people. The only way to get detached is to avoid that association. If you keep continuously associating with a smoker, you also become a passive smoker, and someday you may like to smoke. Likewise, if you are always in the association of materialistic people, that thought in your mind will go, saying that I should also, get this, I should also buy this, I should also accumulate this, I should also go here. All this mentality comes because you're associating with the materialistic people. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by default, gives this in his own example. He did not meet the king of Odisha, Maharaj Pratap Rudra. So there's a very nice story. Maharaj Pratap Rudra was actually ruling the province called Odisha. And he was the supreme ruler of the kingdom, very powerful emperor. And he served Jagannath by sweeping his floors. And he used to use ordinary broom made of sticks of a coconut tree with golden handle on top. That signifies that he is the Raja. And during Rath Yatra, he would, sweep the ground. And Mahaprabhu was very happy to see him working and serving like an ordinary sweeper. And Maharaj Pratap wanted to meet him. But there was a wall in between Mahaprabhu and King Pratap. And the wall was the word called king, Raja, Maharaja. That's a wall. This is very dangerous word because a king generally refers to one who has great opulence, wealth, and who is full of material desires. So Mahaprabhu wanted to be merciful on King Prataprudra, on Maharaj Prataprudra. But the wall was always there, and it could be only dissolved by love and affection. There was no other process. Although Maharaj Prataprudra was a very high-class devotee, he was still a king. He had the kingdom, he had beautiful wife, he had children, and he possessed great wealth and power. It's like a very dangerous, poisonous snake. A snake is still a snake, even if the poison has been removed, even if the fangs have been removed. Snake remains always a snake. He will always, if you go close to the snake, he'll hiss, despite it doesn't have the poison in it or it doesn't have the fangs in it. It was for this reason that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refused to meet Maharaj Prataprudra, although he was an advanced devotee. And when Maharaj Prataprudra heard that Mahaprabhu had refused to meet him, so King Prataprudra says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had promised to liberate the entire world and give everybody Krishna Prema. I am the only exception. And if he has determined not to see me, I am determined to give away my life. I want to kill myself. I do not want to have this life. And he says, if I don't see him, and if he does not give me his mercy, I'll give up my kingdom, I'll give my wife, I'll give away my children, I'll give everything. I do not need any wealth, I do not need any reputation, I do not need any position. I'll give away everything and go. At this point, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya pacified the king, saying that don't do anything in a hurry, be a little patient. There'll be a right time when it will come, and then you can serve him. And that is the only means. By serving a Mahatma, you can actually see him, you can get his blessings. This is the instructions of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. On the day of the Rath Yatra, the Lord will dance in front of the deities in great ecstatic love. And when he enters the Gundicha Mandir, he will be absorbed in deep mood. And at that time, when he enters the Gundicha Mandir, Gundicha garden, you can go there without your royal dress. Don't wear the mukutam, the kiritam. Don't wear the nice opulent jewelry and your clothing and all that. And you can approach him as a mendicant, approach him as a street beggar. And the best part is the Lord can be pleased by singing the glories. And especially when it comes to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if you have to please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you have to recite the Gopi Geet. And the other chapters where Srimad Bhagavatam, where Krishna is dancing with the gopis. While singing the Gopi Geet, please hold his lotus feet. And as we all know, Maharaj Prataprudra was an exalted devotee and he wanted to take darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. And he was ready to do whatever anybody tells him. So he heard Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya very carefully and he said, okay, so be it. I will, try this. But on the contrary, some of us may be thinking that why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not want to meet King Prataprudra. And as earlier said, King Prataprudra had a lot of opulence. So Mahaprabhu describes as to why we should keep ourselves away from the materialistic people. So Mahaprabhu says that even a wooden statue of lady can attract a muni. Yeah. Even if it is not the physical presence, even if there's a wooden statue of a lady can attract a muni. Muni is somebody who has controlled his senses. Munis such as Vishwamitra, Narada are renounced and realized. But just to set an example for all of us and to teach us how careful we must be, they both perform pastimes in which they appeared to be under the spell of illusion. We should be very careful, very cautious in association of opposite sex. Because when men and women come together, it's like Kamadev coming up. Butter will always melt in the presence of fire. So we should keep away this butter and the fire. Srila Prabhupada always insisted that one should not associate with a lady alone, other than his own wife. One should not associate with his mother, with his daughter, with his sister, in alone, in seclusion. You should always be very careful and, be along with other devotees. Then you will always be protected. And when a man and woman comes together, they cannot control their senses and hearts. And that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I therefore request my disciples and friends to be very careful. You're independent, but you should always remember these principles. Mahaprabhu was very, very strict. So he did not give Maharaj Prataprudra his association, even though he was a king who was very advanced devotee. Even when the great devotees like Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Ramananda Rai, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya requested Mahaprabhu to see Maharaj Prataprudra, he said, if you force me, I will leave Puri and go to Alarnath. I will not remain here. If you want, you can stay with him, but I will not stay. But on the contrary, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya gives that reassurance to King Prataprudra, saying that, when your son went to meet Mahaprabhu, he embraced him. And he told him, come and see me every day. Please come and be with me daily. So they give him actually that satvana, saying that you don't worry. If your son has taken the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you will also get association. You've also taken his darshan from far. He will show you his compassion. Mahaprabhu is very satisfied and pleased with you. But give him some time. So Mahaprabhu was very satisfied when he saw King Prataprudra doing that menial service of sweeping the floor. But he still didn't want to go and meet him. Yeah. And as it moves forward, on the day of Rath Yatra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually makes 4 circles of devotees, and you have every kirtan party led by one of them, either it is Nityananda Prabhu or the other Advaita Acharya and all of them. There are 4 of them leading. And then it was also described very nicely in Chaitanya Charitamrita that every kirtan party had 2 mridanga players, and they would lead very nicely, and they would go around the circles. They will form. So actually, to keep Chaitanya Mahaprabhu away from the big crowd, they would keep Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the middle, and there would be 4 circles around him. And then when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like that, singing and dancing during Rath Yatra, and he reaches Gundicha garden, King Prataprudra actually takes permission from Ramananda Rai, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Advaita Acharya, Nityananda Prabhu. He actually offers his pranam, changes his robes from being a king, and he becomes a mendicant. He took off the royal dress completely, he took off all the ornaments and put very simple clothes. Wearing only dhoti and looking like an ordinary person, he approached Mahaprabhu, took his lotus feet in hands and began to massage them very gently. And then he also sang. Which song did he sing? He sang the Jayati Teditam Janmana Vraja, yeah, Gopi Geet. And this is how he was able to please Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it is very clearly said we should associate only with devotees. We should not associate with people who are materialistic. Bhagavad Gita describes who is a Mahatma. Mahatma is somebody who is always absorbed in thinking about Krishna and following the previous acharyas. A Mahatma is a person who is always engaged in the service of Krishna, and he follows his injunctions. He follows the injunctions of the Shastras, like following all the festivals, following the fastings on special days like Ekadashi, etc. In Chaitanya Charitamrita 19.167, it describes Anyabhilashita Shunyam Nana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulyanena Krishna Shila Krishna Anukulyana Krishna Anushilanam Bhaktir Uttamam. Where a first-class devotional service develops, one must be devoid of all material desires. Knowledge obtained by monolistic philosophy and fruitive action, the devotees must constantly serve Krishna favorably as Krishna desires. Well, thinking of Krishna also can be done in two ways. Kamsa was always thinking of Krishna. He was envious. But a devotee always thinks of Krishna in his loving devotional service. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again goes a little beyond in Madhya Leela. Says, Yare dekho tare ko Krishna upadesh, amara agya hoy tara hi desh. You please instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Krishna as they are given in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, you will become a spiritual master and try to liberate everybody in this land. So, it is always thinking of Krishna, going one step, teaching about Krishna, talking to everybody about Krishna as per Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Rupa Goswami says that give up all kinds of speculations. You have to only accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and talk about him, teach about him, even if you don't have a personal experience. But you should have this realization. And Rupa Goswami also says that give up all kinds of attachments for sense gratification. It is very difficult. We cannot have two things at a time. It's like placing two legs in two boats. It's not going to be easy for us. Yeah. You also want to have the material enjoyment. You also want to practice Krishna consciousness. It's not going to be possible. It's like, as I said, keeping two legs in two different boats. You want some bhakti and you want some bhukti. It's not possible. You have to jump over to one boat only, then you can reach your destination. Otherwise, you will be put into the water. You will actually drown into the water. And this is for every ashram. It is not only, for grahasthas, saying that only grahasthas are very attached to materialistic way of life. No, brahmacharis can get attached. Even vanaprasthas can get attached. We should sacrifice everything for Krishna. And what are we sacrificing? Our attitude or our intent to have sense gratification. If we sacrifice the sense gratificatory intent, we will satisfy Krishna. Yeah. And finally, one should take sannyas and prepare to end this material body. And when I mean take sannyas, I don't mean actually getting into sannyas ashram. Srila Prabhupada said controlling senses by going to the forest is easy, but to control senses in the presence of a beautiful life is like being a sannyasi. Despite being in the material life, despite performing all our activities, indulging only into Krishna consciousness or always thinking of Krishna 24 hours is like being a sannyasi. And Srila Prabhupada very nicely describes it, saying that how is it possible? It is possible by associating with Mahatmas. And how do you become a sannyasi? Or how do you really become Mahatmas? Is to give up sex life, be celibate, And if you have to have sex, it is only for procreation. Garbhadhan samskar, which we call. It is dan and it is a samskara. Even if a family man procreates children only for the service of Krishna, he is like a brahmachari or he's like a sannyasi. Because he is doing it on instructions of his spiritual master. And the goal of our life is to achieve Krishna consciousness and just give up the speculation that we do. And how is that possible? It is possible by taking the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, chanting the holy name either loudly, softly, or in the mind 24 hours a day. Going beyond that is going out on Harinam, going on book distribution. These are the best way. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself would do Harinam every day with his associates in the night. They would all come at Srivasangan and then chant the holy name together, Harinam Sankirtan. And being born in India, we have this special responsibility. Bhagavad Gita 9.41 tells us this. Bharata Bhumila Haila Manushya Janmayar Janma Sartak Kari Karo Paropkar. One who has taken birth in this human being in the land of India, Bharata Varsha, Bharata Bhumi. We should make this life successful. And how do you make successful? By working for the benefit of others. So we've got this beautiful parampara which has come to us. We've got this very nice Krishna conscious association of devotees. Now we should go out and give this to others. Many times people don't come to our temple. We've heard of so many devotees. They became devotees because some devotees met them on the road. They were not coming to the temple. Yeah, one kind of mercy is that when devotees come to the temple, they see the beautiful form of the Lord, they hear the beautiful kirtan, they hear nice devotees, talking about Krishna Katha in the temple. They get nice prasadam and then they get attached to Krishna consciousness. But the other part of it is when people don't even come to the temple, they are going for shopping and you meet them on the way and give them a copy of Bhagavad Gita or invite them for a program on a Sunday or invite them for a house program. Or just to give them a little prasadam or a picture or photo, you can make them devotees. So the whole Samanguman of this particular shloka is to that we have to associate with devotees and become devotees. We should leave the association of the bondage, of the material bondage. And this is possible only by rendering service to very advanced devotees. And one should render service to Mahatmas, those who are not interested in material activities. They are not fond of women or sex. And it also very clearly in the purport itself, in the translation itself, Srila Prabhupada says that women and sex are a path to hell. And they're wide open for people who practice that. And what is the quality of a devotee or a Mahatma? He's devoid of anger. And he's working all the benefit for the benefit of everyone. So we understand from this particular chapter and specifically this particular shloka that we have to associate with devotees. We have to follow their footsteps. We have to ensure that we open our dwar to Golok Vrindavan, to liberation. Yeah. And a person who remains like this 24 hours a day is called a Mahatma. So if you have another 7 minutes, in case if I will end the discussion here. If we have any questions, we can take the questions, or if you have any comments, please go ahead and make the comments.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful wonderful discussion class on this. So few points I just wanted to just recap quickly to say this. We started about how the human life is to establish our eternal relationship with Krishna. We're talking about how, that actually cleans us of all the material contamination and get us more into a spiritual platform. And that can actually happen only when we take shelter of a bona fide, elevated devotee, the Mahatma, which we call about in terms of who's working more towards, who's controlled anger and working towards general welfare, which is the real actual meaning over here. And you talked about the rendering of service to the Mahatmas is the most important thing for us to get attached to Krishna actually, and that actually happens by getting detached from our sense gratification, and that opens the door to the liberation piece of it. You talked about the two kinds of Mahatmas, who are the impersonalists or the devotees, and then the impersonalists actually they only reach up to a particular stage because they have a desire to be one with Lord, and that's not a very good proposition. So it's about the real Mahatma is a devotee who remains in Krishna consciousness 24 hours a day, rendering all services, and automatically gets detached, and he's attracted to Krishna, and he's got those 26 great qualities. And you talked the wonderful pastime of Mahaprabhu with King Pratap Rudra, how he was so, he was demonstrating to say how we should avoid associating with materialists, though the king was just a pure devotee, but ultimately, he got so impressed by his humility and how he could attract Mahaprabhu by, seeing the Gopi Geet and doing some menial services. That was wonderful. And you also brought a very important point that we need to be very careful in our association with women, which has to be very, very, very selective in terms of with your wife, yes, but not with any other person, because as you said rightly, any object in any form also could actually get us distracted. And these have been demonstrated by exalted personalities like various Vishwamitra Muni and others. And you also talked about how to engage in service, and that where you talked about how Rupa Goswami talked about Anya Bilashita Shunyam, but we have to do it in a favorable way, Anukula in the Krishna Anushilanam, which is very important. And towards the end, you talked about how we can, despite being in the ashram where we are, remain totally, committed to this through our Harinam, book distribution, and all other services which we can do. So I'll just stop here. Let me not continue more. But this is a wonderful class. And I just open the lines for the devotees to unmute and ask their questions or share the realization.
Ravilochan Prabhu, thank you very much. Very nicely summarized. I couldn't think of anything better than this. Very wonderfully summarized. Just to add one more point is, when we are in association with the Mahatmas, it is like going to a fragrance shop, going to a shop which sells fragrance. Just by being there, you get, this one onto your clothes and it continues to spread. So you don't have to actually buy a bottle of fragrance there. Even if you just stay there for a few minutes, you get. So Mahatma's association is like that. Even if you're there with them for a very little while, it continues to give you the fragrance and spread the fragrance. Thank you very much, Ravilochan Prabhu. Again, if there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them. Or if there are any other comments, or if you want to make any observation, please go ahead. Or if you want to make any corrections, please go ahead.
Thank you, Prabhu. Devotees, can you just check if the lines, you're able to unmute the lines?
Yes, Prabhu, we can.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji. If you can ask your questions or share your realizations.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, that was a very nice class. You covered very nicely the pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thank you very much. Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Okay, so if there are no questions, we will end our session here. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaut Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much for the opportunity given to me for speaking on Srimad Bhagavatam. This was for my own purification and for my own learning. And please pardon me if I have offended or if I have made a statement which was not correct. I will, try to learn more as we move forward. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you for your association, Prabhu. We'll just end with the Vaishnava Pranam. Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripasindu Bhyavivacha Patitanam Pavanam Vaishnavam Anatakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
God Sitanath Namaste. Hari Hari.
Hari Hari
Thank you so
Bol.
much. Thank you
Hare
so much.
Krishna.
None of us. Hare Krishna. I'll end session now.